I'd like to welcome Dave and Shelly Wallace with us tonight. Their TED Talk will be Our Environment, How We Can Care for Our Earth. Dave and Shelly, take it away.
All right, well, I'm going to get us started and just remind you all that this comes from the 7th principle, UU principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And so I want to start with a caveat. Dave and I are not experts. And so what we'll be sharing this evening is really what our experiences have been. And we're suspecting that there are people who are here this evening that know a lot more than we do. And so we're looking forward to the end of this presentation when there's an opportunity for sharing and when you can share with us and the others that are here. So we truly are just sharing our experiences. And we're not experts. So we're feel gratitude that you asked us to present, but know that we're not experts. So so the first thing, Dave, would you like to talk about this?
Yeah, so as I imagine you realize, sort of the impetus for this talk was the fact that Earth Day was last week. And I thought that I might provide just a little background on Earth Day. Last year was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. It was a tremendous success right out of the gate. They had 20 million Americans participated in the first Earth Day back in 1970. And there had been a number of factors and forces that were adversely affecting the environment. And a lot of that came to a head around this time and really led to the creation of Earth Day as a way to raise awareness about a number of these issues. And it was really a wide variety of things. And for those of us who were alive at that time, we probably remember a lot of this, but things like oil spills, polluting factories and power plants, raw sewage that was being dumped into our waterways, toxic dumps, the spraying of pesticides, freeways that were being developed and built in ways that were not environmentally friendly and really destructive to neighborhoods, the loss of wilderness, and the extinction of wildlife. So there was a lot of different forces involved that people were very concerned about. And I think in many ways you have to view Earth Day and the movement that kind of sprung up from it, really the modern environmental movement that came out as a result of it, as a tremendous success. A number of things happened as a result of it. The creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, a wide variety of environmental legislation, including the National Environmental Education Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act. And I think it's interesting to note that most of that legislation, if not all of it, was signed into law by Richard Nixon. I don't really think Richard Nixon could have cared less about the environment, but it was politically expedient. And there was a lot of political will at the time around trying to do things to protect the environment. Nixon was smart enough to know that it was the politically expedient thing to do. At the end of the presentation tonight, Shelly and I are going to share a few resources with you. One of the resources we're going to share is if you're interested in learning more about Earth Day, the Throughline podcast within the last couple of weeks had a very good oral history of Earth Day that I would recommend to you if you're interested in learning more about it. So Shel, would you go to the next slide? It's interesting how Earth Day and the focus of Earth Day has really shifted in the last 50 years because, you know, we had all those very tangible things that we were concerned about. And in many ways, I think we as a country have been very successful in addressing a lot of those issues. And when we think about Earth Day now and the things that we're focused on, it's really more matters like climate change, focus on green energy, and a concern around reducing waste, especially plastics, which may be the big bugaboo right now from a waste standpoint. So that really is, I think, from when we think about Earth Day and the focus on the environment, that's a lot of what we think about these days. So Shelly, I'm going to give the next slide over to you.
So a big part of engaging with our Earth is being out in nature. And that's because it really does help us feel connection and caring for the Earth. So again, we'll share some resources in the chat with you. There was a really good podcast by Tara Barak about Earth Day, where she cites the Institute of Health, who has done studies on what happens when people are out in nature. And they have better relationships, they have better communication, and they are definitely people who are more likely to care about our Earth because they get it. So here are some ways that that you can engage with the Earth: hiking, camping, paddling, snorkeling and scuba diving, creeking, zip lining, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing, hang gliding. I'm sure there are many more. And again, in our sharing time, we'd love to hear how you go out and engage with the Earth, because I think that really is the key to caring. And if you can't get outside with the Earth, just having plants inside your house, feeling that connection, that web of life that we have.
So almost every significant decision that we make about how we're going to live our life, and many of the decisions that we make on a daily basis somehow either directly or indirectly impact the environment. And I've just listed a few off to the side here. But when you think about, your house, well, how do you power your house? Do we use gas and electric, or do we use solar, or do we use thermal? How do you maintain your yard? Do you use some kind of chemicals to maintain your yard? How do you dispose of your garbage? Do you just put it all out on the street, or do you recycle, or do you compost? All of those have implications for the environment. How do you get around? What kind of car do you have? Do you have a combustion engine car? Do you have a hybrid? Do you have an electric car? Or do you use public transportation, perhaps, or bike or walk? Again, all of these have implications for the environment. And even the food that we eat, where does that food come from? We know that food that is shipped from across the country, there are significant environmental implications from that. So, do you try to eat locally sourced food? Obviously, if you choose to eat meat or fish, there are environmental implications for that. And so all of these are things that come into play as far as how we live our daily life, even how that food is packaged. I've already mentioned plastics. It'll come back up again. But do we make an effort to reduce the amount of waste that we generate through how our food is packaged? So, really many decisions that we make on a daily basis, whether consciously or subconsciously, are decisions that are affecting the environment.
Dave, did you want to talk about the podcast that, or the NPR?
I can, yeah. So another resource that we'll share for you, and we're going to talk a little more about recycling, but it does, it is actually a short documentary called Someone Else's Problem, and it talks about some of the issues with recycling, and I think for many of us, and I'm probably guilty of this as well, is that we put our recycling out on the curb, and then we kind of feel like we've done our due diligence on that, and it's all said and done, and we're kind of let it go on from there. But there are a lot of issues with recycling. Again, plastics being the main thing, that there isn't always a market for what to do with these plastics. even if we are trying to save them and recycle them. Interestingly enough, Shelly and I were at a gathering immediately before this, and somebody was telling me that certain parts of the country have problems recycling glass, which I had not heard of before. So I think all of these things where we just have an assumption that, oh, we're going to recycle it and everything's fine and it's not going to go into a landfill. It's not that simple. And so this is the link that we'll have. Again, it's called Someone Else's Problem. It's like a short 15-minute documentary, but it's very interesting. And I think it gives a perspective that we otherwise may not think about.
So here's what Dave and I do. We do recycle. We use the curbside recycling. And I would say that we have become educated over time. We used to throw a lot of things into our recycling that really didn't belong there. And we were fortunate enough to do a tour of the Rumpke Recycling Center. And that was the big wake-up call for us, and we started really paying attention to what can go into the recycling and what cannot. We're very excited that Cincinnati just got a recycling hub. And I will give you a link to that. The recycling hub is where they're gathering all kinds of things that can be recycled and reused, and they're distributing them to different organizations to make them, again, reused or recycled, which is just amazing. So a lot of the things that we were typically throwing in the trash to the landfill, we're now taking to the recycling hub. We also became educated in the last couple of years that when we go shopping at Kroger, we always would take any plastic bags like that we had gotten from the grocery store, but we learned that you can put all kinds of plastic bags in here. So we have this tub in our basement that we keep, and you can see there's bags from cheese and from chips and from frozen fruit and frozen vegetables. So all kinds of things, all kinds of plastic. It also can be the plastic mailers that you get things in with bubble wrap. All of that can be recycled. All of it can be taken to those Kroger plastic bins. We also compost. This is my compost bin, and I have a husband who understands his wife. He gave this to me, had this built for me 2 or 3 years ago for my birthday. Some women want jewelry. I mentioned once when we were out at the nature center that I someday want a compost bin like that, and he made it happen. It was a surprise for me. So this is my compost bin, and I really love turning my compost bin and seeing all the creepy crawlies in there, and just I think it's so magical how it all decomposes. So I love it. And then as many of you know, David drives a hybrid car. So those are the things that we do. I don't know that we're grand champions, but we do a little bit at least.
So that's actually a great lead into, can I do more? And one of the things about environmental issues is there are so many ways to get involved with environmental concerns, and there's lots of opportunities. And if it's the kind of thing that you have any sort of passion about, there is probably an organization or organizations out there that can provide an opportunity for you to engage more with the environment. One that that many of you I'm sure know about, that I wanted to share, is Green Umbrella, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's an umbrella organization for a wide variety of environmental agencies. And they cover a bunch of different topics. But if you ever are looking for a place trying to figure out how to plug in the greater Cincinnati area on environmental issues, Green Umbrella is a great place to start to direct you to other organizations.
So here are some other organizations that Dave and I have connected with. The Mill Creek Alliance is, if you're not familiar with the Mill Creek, it really runs along I-75. And the Mill Creek Alliance is working on restoring the Mill Creek from pollution and then they educate the public as well. And they have something called the Mill Creek Yacht Club. You can actually go paddling down the Mill Creek. And due to their restorations, you'll find lots of wildlife. There's fish in the creek, and frogs and turtles. And there's lots of birds, and they've really done a great job restoring it. There's more to do, but it's really good. The last few years, I became aware of the Arc of Appalachia, which is a land conservancy, and they have lands that they have purchased in primarily Adams and Highland County, but other counties in Ohio as well. And they're just beautiful places to go hiking, absolutely gorgeous. Little Miami Conservancy, David's dad was very involved in that, and that was cleaning up the Little Miami River. And then Oxbow Inc. is over in Lawrenceburg, and it is a wetland and a wonderful place to go birding. And somebody I was talking to tonight at the gathering we were at before this was sharing that they have bald eagles out there now. So last time I was out there, I think in January, I saw at least 50 heron. There are beaver. It's just an amazing place. So absolutely gorgeous.
Another thing that we were involved in is supporting clean energy in Ohio, and Ohio really has a problematic relationship with clean energy. As I imagine most of you know, we really have a focus on coal and nuclear in this state. And obviously, we saw the huge corruption scandal that came out of Columbus as a result of Bill 6 that supported and bailed out nuclear power plants. And so an organization that we support is Ohio Citizen Action that has been around for a number of years and is trying to promote a clean energy future for Ohio. They do a lot of great work, so we support that. And green transportation is a huge issue right now, and we've talked about electric cars, and obviously biking has taken on renewed significance. And I know there are a number of big bikers at church, and the Crown is a regional initiative to create a major bike trail going on. It's almost like a crown across Cincinnati. Much of that is completed. I don't believe it's all done at this time, but that they're making tremendous progress in getting it done. And I think the plan, as long as the final funding comes through, is to have that done in the next few years. So that's just a sampling of some things that we support or have been involved in. At this time, Shelly's going to take down her slides. And we would love to open it up and hear what everyone else does as far as how you support the environment, whether that's on a daily basis or organizations that you're involved in or that you support. I know I've seen a couple of things in the chat already, but feel free to either put things in the chat or unmute yourselves, and we would love to have a conversation around that.
And there's 18 people in here, so I think that's not so much that everyone could have a say if you'd like. So
I guess I can kick it off. One of the things that we do, talking about reducing our plastic waste, when we go to the grocery store, of course, we bring our own bags, but also usually when you pick your vegetables, they have these plastic bags to put them in. I got this whole range of different sizes of these mesh bags that I can put my vegetables in, just so I don't have to use all the plastic from like getting my broccoli and all that stuff. So it's just a small thing that, we can do.
Where did you get those, Patricia?
Amazon, which of course is not the best, not environmentally friendly to get it from there, but yeah,
I'm sure ordered them with something else so that it wasn't just a shipment of those.
Tuesday, a day that they always deliver everything together, right? So it's just one shipment. But no, it's great. They come in different sizes. So some smaller for like the herbs, or bigger ones for my leek. And
of course, Kroger has an initiative to eliminate all plastic within the next few years. It's going to be interesting to see how they get there. But that is a goal of theirs, is to try to reduce and I think totally eliminate, the plastic bags, both that you put your vegetables in and that you put the groceries in as you check out. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull that off.
I have something that I've been doing for the last 6 months. I have a Kroger plastic bag that I put in my back pocket every morning. And if I happen to go to a grocery store or Findlay Market, I always have that plastic bag, and that's the bag I use. Because when people started moving away from plastic bags and started the reusable bags, I suddenly had a collection of about 7 or 8 reusable bags that I never remembered to reuse or to bring with me. So I stick this plastic bag, and now it's become like a thing. I'm going to see how long I can go before I have to switch to one more plastic bag.
You're taking reuse to a new level, Larry. I really admire that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm semi-retired. I don't have anything else to do, so what the hell?
And I would say we do take cloth bags to the store every time we go. And actually, one thing that Shelly does is she actually just keeps some cloth bags in her car, so that if we do forget
do
them,
that too.
They're available there to us. Martha?
Oh, I like to do crafts and sewing, and there is a store in Pleasant Ridge called Scrap It Up, and they accept donated items, yarn, fabric, knitting needles, paints, many different craft items, and I go there too often. One of the things I've done is actually buy fabric there. It's only, a small amount per pound, and I actually make cloth grocery bags, and then I give them to the food pantry near my house so that they can read.
Nice.
Great idea.
That's
Love
great.
it.
Martha,
Those-
what's the name of that again?
Called Scrap It Up. They have a Facebook page and a website, Scrap It Up Cincinnati,
It's in Oakley,
Pleasant Ridge.
Pleasant Ridge.
And it is one of the organizations that is going to receive goods from the recycling hub.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit. They use their proceeds. They donate to the Kennedy Heights Arts Center.
Shelly, where is this recycling hub you've been talking about?
Down on Evans Street. So I did put a link in the chat for you. And so you can check out the link. They have a great website that explains all of the places that the recycling is going to. Maybe not all, because they do take number 5s, which I'm really excited about, but they don't really disclose where those are going. But it's down on Evans Street. If you know where where MSD is, it's not far from that, or the police training center, Cincinnati Police Training Center. It's, down kind of like 8th Street, west side of Cincinnati.
And I would note that the recycling hub is new. I mean, it really is no more than just a few months old.
Oh,
And
no,
it
it
is-
started the beginning of April. It's brand new.
Brand new. So, and it is a
Yeah.
nonprofit. And I mean, it is not I'm sure they're trying to make as much money as they can, but I don't think it is something that they're probably going to break even on. And so something that you may consider if you do use it and drop things off is to give them a donation when you do that, because this is a service that they are providing at a loss. So something to
And
keep
it's
in mind.
also, you can also volunteer there. So if you're looking for a volunteer thing to do, it would be another good one.
Doug, did you have something?
Yeah, I threw something in the chat as well that I think I literally found it 2 nights ago. I keep looking for places where we can stop buying like the plastic bottles of shampoo and conditioner and all that stuff. There's one now, the first one I found at least in Cincinnati, called Fillmore Wasteless. So I put the website link in the chat. It is a Cincinnati company, and they will ship stuff to you in plastic bags that they will reuse. So you don't even have to go to the store. You can order a 16-ounce refill bag of whatever shampoo. They have like all the kitchen products, sorts of things, cleaners and that kind of stuff. And you put it in your container, rinse out their thing, and ship that back to them. And they'll continue to reuse those bags over and over again. So not even the bag that they send the liquids to you is going in the trash. They're reusing those as well.
Wow.
I have not
Good,
tried
thanks.
them yet, but I'm very excited about it.
Thanks, Doug. I use a lot of shampoo and conditioner, Doug, so
Yeah,
that's
I
really
know,
helpful
especially
me
for
to
you,
know.
Dave.
Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah.
There is a lot of links in the chat. For those of you who don't know, you can save that by clicking on the 3 little dots in the chat that say more, and then it should say save chat, and that will save to your computer. And if you are watching this in a recording, I will put a link to that chat in the description down below.
I don't see these dots.
So do you have the chat open, Jane?
Yeah, yes.
Open the chat, and on the right-hand side, it says file. Do you see file? In your chat.
No, it just has minimize, maximize, or exit.
I'll tell you what, I will save the chat and I'll email it to you.
Thank you, Shelly. I could also email it to everyone after.
Okay,
great.
let's do that.
That would be
sounds
great.
good.
Thanks, Meredith.
Yeah, that's thank
Yeah.
you.
So I put another link in the chat too, that someone told me about. It's called gozero.org. That is, if you want to compost, but you don't have the garden or the space to actually have your own compost heap, you can rent a little like garbage bin from them, fill it up with your scraps, and they have different deposit locations in the city that you can go drop off your, composted stuff, and they will compost it and, then use it for other things. But
That's great. And they have that in Cincinnati?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's gozero.org.
That's great.
Going back to that reduced bottle usage, I don't have anything that I can support this with. This is just a thing I read a long time ago. But having worked in the chemical industry, I also know it's true. We used to ship things high solids so that we could reduce our shipping costs by not shipping water. So there's nothing more high solids than a bar of soap, because you just add water as you use it. And I read this article that said, people go, oh my God, there's a bar of soap and you're going to get all these germs from a bar of soap. And it's like, well, the bottle holds on to the germs as well or better than a bar of soap. So whenever I go into one of my daughter's houses, I'm always shocked at the number of bottles of, sorry, Dave, conditioner, shampoo, and all that sort of thing that they have. Because I don't have any of that here. I buy shampoo that comes in a bar.
This is our shampoo right here. Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. So,
Really?
I mean, we've also gone to using powdered detergent, which is sometimes hard to find these days, instead of the big bottles of liquid, because it just costs so much to ship that stuff around the country.
Because you're literally shipping something that's 25 to 30% solids and the rest is water.
Yeah.
So you're shipping water across the country, across the world. And it makes no sense.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you have
Does
the
anybody-
energy cost of shipping plus the plastic bottle cost.
Right, right.
And just as an aside, a bar of soap is not a fomite. It does not pass on pathogens and things like that. So a bar of soap is a pretty good thing to use.
Our local health inspector. Doug, I saw that your hand was raised.
Yeah, this kind of goes along with what Patricia was talking about. My wife and I live in a condo, and we have always wanted to compost. And we recently came across an organization called localcompost.com. and we have signed up with them. There is a monthly charge, but they come each Saturday and they pick up a bucket that they provide that we have filled up during the week, a 5-gallon bucket. And they then compost it, and it's a new upstart. I don't think they have a lot of customers yet, but at any point down the road, you can also request to get some new soil from them too. So that's a nice option.
Well, our son lives in an apartment in Cincinnati and he doesn't have it there. So he freezes his compost and brings it to us sometimes.
There you go.
Not that I'm asking all of you to bring me your compost too, but it does work out for us.
It's now 7:33. Are there any last minute comments?
Well, we get our electricity from wind power and solar power. And I drive a mostly electric car. It's a hybrid, but it's mostly electric. I use electricity with it. So I can feel very virtuous driving that.
Hey, Dan, are you willing to share who your electrical supplier is and how you picked them?
It's called Clean Choice Energy.
Okay, I've heard of them before. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a disaster trying to pick an energy provider.
I know, and it does cost a little bit more than what you would pay Duke Energy, but I recently looked at it, and it costs us about $50 a year more. I figure it's worth it.
Wow, that's not much. Yeah.
We also have it's essentially an energy broker. It's called Arcadia, and they pay our bills from Duke each month, but then they add a little bit more, and they finance windmills all over the country. So it's kind of a way to get that clean energy off the ground.
Gary.
Yes, the First Unitarian Church uses 100% wind energy at this time as well. And we've been doing that for a while. If you go to, it's called Apples to Apples. There's a website, and you can pick your energy provider if you're with Duke. It depends on what your provider, and some of the others have it too, but that's something you could look at. And the other thing I wanted to add is, I think a lot of you know I garden. Everything that's, when it's done producing, goes in a compost pile. Mm-hmm. My compost pile in the garden is usually about 6-7 foot by the end of the season. And the other thing we're working on, we're going to have solar panels installed this summer. So I can tell you more about that later on. So
we've got them. They're very nice. Our last electric bill was $19.
Wow.
Who said that?
Doug and Patricia.
Doug and Patricia. Okay, cool.
Solarize Cincinnati is a program that will get you cheaper solar panels.
Okay.
They do a big bulk purchase every year. You got to sign up for it, and they'll get you into the program.
And I did not know that First Church used wind energy. How did I not know this, Gary?
I don't know. Carrie, I've been working with Carrie on purchasing our energy the last couple of times. And I think the first time I did it, we didn't do that. But then there was some feedback that the church wanted to go with the wind energy. And we did it at a time and it still was a pretty good rate. It was less than what we were paying before, but we could have got something a little cheaper. But so we've been doing, I think we're in the middle of a 2 or 3 year cycle for it.
Wow, that's great.
What company is that?
I can't remember. We just kind of go with what everyone had. I can look it up. If you give me a second, I can tell you.
While Gary's doing that, I think I can speak on behalf of Shelly when I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. I know there are other ways you could have spent your Friday evening, and we appreciate you being here, and really appreciate everybody sharing, because I feel like I've learned as much and probably more than actually I shared. So thanks for everybody for participating in this evening.
Thank you, Dave and Shelley.
Thank you. Enjoyed it a lot.
Guys, thank you all.